thanks for doing this. We appreciate you spending some time to help out the kids.
No worries, Rachel.
All right. So what is your name? How old are you? And what do you do as a job?
So my name's Glen Cox. I'm 48 years of age and currently I'm a diesel mechanic.
Cool. What are your roles and responsibilities in your job?
So with what I do quite a bit of servicing, machinery, plant equipment. But with the gear that we work on, it's rather large repairs and very time consuming because with earth moving stuff, sometimes you can be working on it for days, if it comes back in the workshop. Yep.
Cool. How long have you been in your current job?
In my current job or mechanicking in general?
Mechanicking in general.
Yep. Oh, well, so basically since the age of 16. So
a long time.
What's that? 32 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Was mechanicking or being a diesel mechanic your first job? And if not, what did you do before and why did you change?
Yeah, so mechanicking was my first job, and the reason being, I guess with schooling, I sort of struggled a little bit with schooling, a couple of particular subjects. So it was looking like I was always going to do a trade. However, leading up to it, I was always sort of playing around with go-karts and motorbikes and stuff like that. So I actually began working, my apprenticeship on automotive. And then I changed, got involved with logging and then earth moving. So it wasn't really a direct path to where I am now, but it's all mechanicking, all mechanical related. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So when back in high school, back in the 1940s.
Yep.
70s or whatever it was. What subjects did you do at high school? Why did you choose these? And did they link to what you wanted to do?
So back in Form 4, right, which is year 10. So I just had the standard subjects. I did go to a Catholic school, a college. Probably wasn't best suited for me. I should have gone to a tech because techs were still around. So when it came to drama, religious education, that didn't go down. English was just bare minimum, but maths and geography, that was really good at that. However, probably the only thing that sort of lined up a little bit with it was more hands-on stuff, which was the welding and woodwork, Having said that, I understand a lot of kids like woodwork and all that side of it, but being a college, they never taught like auto prac or anything like that. They used to do at tech. Yeah. So I've kind of, from what I understand now, a lot of kids at school don't get that introduction to it. They probably rely on more uncles or their fathers or stuff like that. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Did you have to do extra study once you left school to get your job? And if you did, what was it?
So the study I did was through what was called the State Training Board at the time, which you had back then. You had an option to do 1 day a week TAFE training, or was a 1 week every month for 10 months per year, and then that went for approximately 3 years in total. So I did block training. Yeah. And you're given different modules, and it was basically 3 levels, and you completed each module and was, both hands-on and also, written. So yeah.
Did you? So when you left school in year 10, or did you go all the way? So when you left school in year 10, did you go into a job and do that studying at school, like leave your workplace to go in and do it, or were you at school and you left school like a TAFE to go into a
Mm.
workplace?
No, so I basically, as soon as I finished school, I stepped straight into employment, and then it would have been around 3 months when I started actual trade school, which sort of, for me, it was probably a month behind. I kicked off in, say, March.
Yeah.
And I went to trade school, which at the time, because where I was living was in Frankston, Kookaburra Street, Frankston. So, but nowadays, I believe you can either go to a TAFE to do your training, or you can do the training at your job, and you're still completing the modules, and you rely on those that you work with or your employer to sign off that you've completed those tasks.
Okay.
However, from what I've had dealings with and people that apprentices that we've had through more recently, we feel that it's still better off to go to TAFE because there's a lot more exposure. Yeah.
And the apprentices you have at your work, have they done the vet subjects at school, or have they left school early like you did?
So one of them did vet subjects, and then the other ones left early.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, and probably same deal. So I struggled with schooling, and just the apprenticeship was, as soon as they could get an apprenticeship, they started.
Yeah. All right. So you don't have to give us exact dollars, but a ballpoint on how much a diesel mechanic would earn. Like, probably if you can remember, or if you know through, I don't know, when I was a chef, I know as I went from first year to second year, there was an increase in pay and so on and so on. Is that what it's like as a mechanic?
Yeah, very much so. So like when I was first year, second year, I can remember that basically I didn't have any money to go out, on weekends and so on. You'd be flat out sort of, managing to go out one night a week. I was paying off a vehicle. Of course, it was a V8, so you're always pouring fuel in that. And then, you just didn't have a lot of money. There was mates that were my same age as me that were labouring or working for concreters, earning, 4 times as much as me. Yeah. So you certainly didn't do it for the pay. No way. Not as an apprentice.
Yeah.
You did it because you just loved working in that environment. So either you loved working on cars, or you loved working on trucks or aircrafts or earth moving, like Caterpillar, stuff like that. So it's not until you sort of get qualified and then you got a couple of years under your belt until you start getting good pay. It's really, if you include your apprenticeship, which is 4 years, and then say another 5-6 years of actual work, is when you expect to get a pretty good income,
Yeah.
But I must say now there's just a huge shortage of tradesmen out there, and there's not the apprenticeships being offered, but also not the people taking up that role, those mechanical apprenticeships. So, there is a lull, there's always a requirement for mechanics, So
in today's day and age, if you had your qualifications, what's the yearly income you would expect to earn? I'm guessing, I don't know much about it, but I'm guessing it depends on whether you're working on big mining trucks in the mines, or whether you're at a local mechanic doing, the local diesel 4-wheel drives or something. So does all that impact your income? And what would you expect to earn, as a diesel mechanic?
Oh, yeah, okay. So if, as I said, if you're qualified and you had your, somewhere between 4 to 6 years of work under your belt, your expectations would be somewhere between 65 and 75,000 per year.
Okay.
And that's on a standard week, Monday to Friday, and that's working within, half an hour of where you lived.
Yeah.
of course, if you got into earth moving and then got involved with weekend work and field service, well, that's when your rates are a lot higher. And mining, if you're going to work in the mines, well, that's where the big money was, still is, but nothing like what it was like, 2 or 3 years ago. And that's where the big money was. So people that did that, they sort of tried to go and do that for, however long, 6 to 10 years. And by then they've already paid off their mortgage and, moved on, because you really do earn good money. However, that type of work's like fly in, fly out, and big shift work, and there's no social life to it, So,
it's hard. You
Yeah.
did touch on it before. You said it's a shortage, but the next question is there high employment opportunities in your field?
Well, I'd say yes, because the company I work for struggle to find good mechanics, So yes, there is a real shortage out there. And then it's just as hard, if not harder, to find young people that are really keen with mechanicking, and want to start an apprenticeship and actually stick to it. That's hard. You would think that you would have people knocking on your door, handing in, a bit of a reference and a resume, so to speak, and want to and ask, are you taking someone on? Well, for the 10 years that I've been at my current employment, I think that's happened twice.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
All
right. Well, that's actually a good segue for the next question. If you were going to try and get a job now, where would you look and how would you go about it?
Yeah, I guess, I guess I would see what's available through Seek. Seek's probably the only real way that, or the main one that I know of. But when you're sort of working within an industry too, like say with myself with earth moving, quite often, well, a lot of the opportunities have probably come my way. I haven't had to look for them. And, you sort of, you meet people, and if you're good at doing what you're doing, sometimes the job finds you. And I've gone into like managerial roles, like workshop managing roles, and also doing, in charge of like decommissioning and commissioning machinery interstate. So stuff like that. It's just probably because of, how much you apply yourself, So outside of that, that's probably the only thing I know. A lot of the main players advertise and Seek, know.
Okay. All right. What is hard about your job?
Physically, it does have an impact on your body, as in your lower back, your back. It just can't help that. It's just there's a lot of out of position working. And also, with what I was doing, there's a lot of heavy lifting involved. As much as, things are modern and you're trying to do things the smart way, you still cut corners, and So it's probably just the physical part of it. And after a while, it's a bit hard on your hands and so on, You sort of lose a bit of feeling, lose a bit of sensation after the years, So,
cool.
But I'm talking 20, 30 years doing it. Yeah.
All right. What do you like about your job?
You're always learning something, because as things change and become more modern, you've got to adapt and take that on, So a lot of stuff now is computer controlled, no different to automotive, probably not quite to that extreme, but with what I do, it's not just the engine part of it, it's the hydraulic systems, it's the electrical system, they do GPS tracking and all that type of stuff. So Yeah, I sort of like that part of it, and also like what, you know, the machine's ability, what they can do when it comes to earth moving and that side of it. You know, it's just full on. You know, some of the big stuff just blows you away.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
would.
So,
It's so like you just look at the tires and you're like, oh my god.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But you know, and that's where I think the biggest choice, like getting off track here a little bit, but back in the very beginning, I went through probably 2 to 3 different changes of where I went from small engines to medium, and then got into earth moving. I think if you sort of maybe focus on what you really like, if it's earth moving, get involved with that. If it's airplanes, well, you definitely got to go down that path. You know, if it's marine, you go down that path. You know.
Yeah.
And your trade school is affected too, because there's 3 different levels of trade school.
Okay.
Depending on what
Is it easy to swap over? So if you enter just thinking I want to be a diesel mechanic, and then you discover, like you start on, say, trucks, trucks is in 4-wheel drives. And then you discover marine, like boats and stuff. Is it easy to change that direction, or is it quite set because of your trade school?
You probably, say if you already got your qualification, you got your qualification, then you've got to just pick it up.
Right.
You've got to learn it. As far as becoming or getting different accreditations, or like doing another 12 months in training to then get that qualification, it's actually quite hard nowadays.
Okay.
There's currently someone at work that's trying to get the heavy stream, and they've looked at what modules he's done and then what modules he has to do, and then the related costs. It's just about almost outweighs even bothering to do it, you know.
Okay.
But sometimes when you're putting, you know, if you've been a mechanic and you worked on 4-wheel drives or something, or trucks, and then next thing you get involved in earth moving, then you're better off to try and go to a dealership and get that dealership training.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily anything that's handed down from local state government, like an actual certificate. It's more so on the job training, you know. So
Cool. All right. What
and
traits?
Also being thrown.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's all right.
Oh, what?
Also get. Sorry.
No, you go.
I was going to say also maybe just getting thrown in the deep end. You know, you're there. You got to learn it. You know, and working with people. Yeah.
Cool. All right. What traits would someone have to be good at your job?
Well, probably the main thing, like a lot of jobs, but it's just that actual interest in it. You know, I don't think it's something that you just think, oh, I'm going to give that a crack. You know, you've got to show a little bit of, you've got to want to pull things apart. You've got to want to try and fix things. You know, if you're involved with, you know, doing up a car and changing the engine and putting a bigger diff in it, well, it's already started. You know what I mean? If some people, you know, we had an apprentice go through our work, and he actually only worked there for 6 months because he needed to get involved with the bigger tractors and the broad acre stuff, because that's all he could think about was tractors all the time. So he was wasting his time with us, you know. And then I've had another mate that, you know, did the first 9 months of the level 1 apprenticeship with me, and then he was going into aircraft, you know, because he had an association with airplanes, and his dad was, you know, a pilot, and he loved airplanes, and he's still doing it now. So
that's good.
Other than that, as far as I guess physical size and all that, I don't think that's got anything to do with it. But with earth moving, you know, it's good to have a little bit of strength with you, but it's not imperative.
All right. And our last question, where can a job take you in relation to travel opportunities and growth within your own sort of industry? So this question, like that part might be more so if you're like a bank teller, can you work your way up? Is there opportunities as a mechanic to work your way up in a company?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And can you go traveling with it? Like, can you go anywhere with the qualification?
Yeah. Sorry, it's just that I think the link just dropped out a little bit there.
Okay.
So you said
Where can
where
the
can
job
it take you within the?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think once it's probably got a lot to do with the size of the company you work for, of course. So at one stage there, I was involved with William Adams, which is the Caterpillar dealer in Clayton, in Victoria, of course. And there was opportunity there because it's a big dealership. So that's where you would, had a chance to become leading hand and had a few people working under me. And then from there, you get into a manager's role. So then, you might go and do a couple of basic courses, or if the company I work for put me through a couple of real basic courses, time management and also a lead and hand course and so on. So that then gave you the ability to sort of get off the tools a little bit and being more managerial, and you're sort of doing quotes and so on.
Yeah.
I've known other guys that were mechanics and then got into sales repping.
Okay.
And then just went off selling gear. So yeah, there is opportunity. Some guys like the field service and want to get out just across the country, across the state, I should say, and, work out of a ute and do that type of work.
Yeah.
So no, there's definitely opportunity, but I think too, it depends on what you're working for, if it's, here we go again, if it's agricultural, automotive, earth moving, mining, depends where and what,
And is the qualification that someone would get in Victoria recognised Australian-wide or worldwide? So once you have it, you can go anywhere?
I'd say it is Australia-wide. Worldwide, I couldn't really answer that, but I do know, like, once again, with the Caterpillar thing through William Adams, they were sending people offshore, offshore, of course, on the oil platforms, into Canada. And also there was the Antarctic division where they'd send machinery there and guys would go there for stints,
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that was pretty good, Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you think might be useful for anyone wanting to become a diesel mechanic?
Not really. Not really. As I say, I think it's probably the main thing is it's pretty important to if you're going to go down that path, is work out what industry that you want to be involved with. The other thing is sometimes particular companies will only put on people that are 17 and they've done their at least 1 year level or year 11, I should say. So sometimes just doing year 10 isn't enough, you know. So that's something to consider, and also driver's licenses have got a little bit to do with it, but that didn't affect me, with what I did. But no, other than that, no, I wouldn't say there's anything else, Yeah.
Cool.
Just the main thing is, like everything is, no different to people that go to uni. You go to TAFE, you just got to get it done.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get it done, you have to pay for it out of your own pocket.
Yeah.
So it's got a time limit, So yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate
no worries.
your
Thanks,
time.
Rachel.